on 23rd October 1986 at 11:05 and fell completely, totally, absolutely in love with her. It took me 7 seconds, it took her 7 months. She has been a bit slow and she wants to be very sure. So after her confession, she went to Bhubaneswar, where her parents were there, an overnight journey from Rourkela. And she came back 2 days later, completely crunched and crumpled. I asked her what happened. She said, my father has gone berserk. He says there's no question of me marrying you. I said, why? So she said that he was telling that we are Telugu Vaishnavite Brahmins and you are a North Indian Baniya, Karela or Ninchada. So there's no question. You have to marry somebody in the family. यहाँ एक रिवाज है कि you have to marry बुआ का बेटा या मामा. So you have to marry बुआ का बेटा. So every week or so she would go and have a fight with the family. The entire clan gathered around her dad and mom, and they were supporting them, and they were saying that if she indulges in a marriage with me, there will be chaos and catastrophe. So after 3 or 4 months of struggle, one day she came back and she told me, Ramin, मैं अपने सपनों का शीश महल अपनी पिता की मृत्युशैया पर नहीं बना सकती. I was completely gobsmacked. A lady who looks like Madhuri Dixit, talks like Madhuri Dixit and laughs like Madhuri Dixit is now suddenly talking like Nirupa Roy. So this marriage is not going to happen. So I resigned from my job, ladies and gentlemen, and went back to my native place, Hyderabad. After 6 months, I got a letter from Madhuri. Dearest Ramin, can you come to Rourkela for a day? It doesn't matter if you're too busy. I wanted to tell her, sweetheart, what do you mean busy? I've been living in the post office for the last 6 months waiting for this missive. I rushed to Rourkela. She rushed into my arms and she said, let's get married. I said, what about Mrityushaya, Sangamarmar, Sheesh Mahal or whatever? She said, it was a drama tha. Let's get married and I'm sure they'll reconcile. But I had a job in Hyderabad, she was in Rourkela. So I applied to the management of Rourkela Steel Plant and they said, you can come back but you have to rejoin as a fresh entrant. That means you will be junior by 2 years to your batchmates and your wife. So I rang up my father. Now look at his reply. He said, बेटा मनपसंद नौकरी तो मिल जाएगी लेकिन मनपसंद छोकरी नहीं मिलेगी. अगर वो तैयार है, so come to Hyderabad where my daughter and son-in-law are there, we'll make the arrangements. So we eloped and we got married. Imagine this is in 88. In 88 she crunched, she smashed the glass ceiling of marrying outside the caste, going against her entire family. And what about me? I was junior to my beautiful, gorgeous wife by 2 years. In a small place like Rourkela, where everybody knows what's happening, the transfers, the promotions, the whatnot and all, the grocer, the mali, the neighbor, everybody. Being 2 years junior to your brilliant and beautiful wife means that you're the biggest idiot on planet Earth. I have to face scorn and ridicule on a day-to-day basis. In a particular gathering, official meeting, a general manager said, congratulations to Ramin and condolences to him. Somebody asked why. He said, congratulations because his wife Madhuri has got promotion and condolences because he did not get. And nobody knew that I was not even eligible. Then there was this very smart guy in my department. He said, sir, if at this rate, one day you're going to report to ma'am. I said, what's the problem? I report to her at home, I report in the office. And don't forget, her office is on the 4th floor, mine is on the ground floor. I look up to her and she looks down on me. It took me 12 years to make up. But for her, the struggle continued. She was the only executive in the marketing department, a lady executive in the marketing department for 20 years. She had to face sexism, patriarchy. She had to work twice as hard to prove that she's half as capable of those bloody men in her office. And she continued doing it. And then I want to add here that I've had a very traumatic childhood. My mother was rather self-obsessed, so she put me in a hospital when I was only 5, and she eloped with a young man when I was 14, young man 20 years junior to her. So I had a scarred, traumatic childhood, and I had a deep mistrust or distrust in relationships. Madhvi made me realize that the three cornerstones of married life are respect, empathy, and trust. My mother gave me the lacerations, Madhvi gave me the healing. Moving down now to my daughter. Before I end this segment of my ode to my beautiful wife, let me tell you that I was diagnosed with cancer in November 2021. I suffered 3 septic shocks. The probability of surviving one septic shock is only 30%. 3 times I knocked on the door of death, shook hands with Lord Yamaraj, and walked back to the kingdom of the living. Madhvi played Savitri to my Satyavan. A big round of applause for her, please. I survived 4 major surgeries, 10 rounds of chemo, 5 rounds of radiation, and I was in the ICU for 40 days. And throughout all this hell and Hades, she was with me. She never ever pressed the panic button. Then moving now to my daughter, my lovely daughter Ankita, when she was in class 10, she scored very high in science. So in Rourkela at that time you had only 2 options, either engineering or medical. So I asked her, she said science gives me a headache and maths makes me want to vomit. So I said, what do you want to do? So she said, I want to pursue arts. I want to take up English. I told her, by all means. But there was a world war in my house. In my house, like I said, we have 2 beautiful ladies. One is my wife, Sherni, and my mother-in-law, Babbar Sherni. And I'm the chuha in the house. I hardly open my mouth. So that day, they pounced on me and said, there's no question. How can you, arts is for duffers. But I told them, I recited Hanuman Chalisa, drank Madam milk, and I said, nahi, ladki wahi karegi jo wo chahti hai. And fortunately, they agreed. My daughter Ankita went on to major in English. She joined an advertising agency, and then she decided to travel, indulge in solo travel. Today, after 7 or 8 years, she has got 480,000 followers on Insta. She has visited 56 countries and 6 continents. She's done some very crazy things like 3-day survival stint in Amazon. She's gone to the hottest place on earth, where it's 52 degrees in Ethiopia, the coldest place, Siberia, minus 72. And she has traveled on top of an iron ore train across Sahara Desert for 18 hours. And she has swum with tiger sharks and bull sharks and whales. And she teaches me lessons in feminism on a day-to-day basis. 2 days back, she was in Iran, and she told me that she had gone to a remote corner of Iran where she met a grandma, Habiba, who's around 80 plus. And she asked Ankita, "What have you married?" So Ankita said no. Then Habiba told her, "Beta, don't get married. Your husband will never allow you to travel. Follow your passion and travel the universe." A lesson in feminism from one of the most remote corners where we can't even imagine people would think like that. And as far as Madhvi and I are concerned, we have different ministries. She handles external affairs, health, offense, defense, and finance. She's got such a good head for numbers that she's the only shareni, one of the few sharenis in the share market. And I handle women and child welfare. Her life position is, I'm okay, you're okay. And mine is, I'm not okay, you're not okay. Or I'm okay, you're not okay. And finally, I want to tell her that I want to relate to you one tiny dialogue. One day I was in a very romantic mood. I looked at her and asked her, "You're so beautiful, you're so brilliant. What did you see in me that you agreed to marry me?" She looked at me, she looked deep into my eyes and said, "I saw a lot of scope for improvement." After that, I never ever asked her. So now I want to tell her that Madhvi, you're far more beautiful than me, you're far more charismatic than me, you're far more brilliant than me. But in one thing, I've beaten you hollow, absolutely hollow. My taste is better than yours.